Okay, I want you to picture this. The date is January 1st, 2026. The clock has just ticked past midnight. But there are no big parties, no fireworks going off. Instead, it's just this quiet, reflective moment. A moment that actually marks a huge milestone. See, this wasn't just the beginning of another year. It was the moment that the coaching firm Nirvedha officially entered its 10th year. That's a full decade spent right there in the trenches working on leadership development. Now, just try to imagine what 10 years of that work really looks like. We're talking about coaching more than 6,000 professionals. And look, that's not just some number on a screen. That is a massive library of human experience, of all the wins, the losses, and the incredibly hard-earned lessons. 6,000 unique stories of people just trying to figure out how to lead in the messy, complicated world we live in now. And after watching all of this, after all those hours, that entire library of experience pointed to one single, kind of terrifying realization. The founder, Sudhakar Reddy Gade, said it pretty bluntly. The playbook, the manual that worked so well for them in their first year, it's now completely useless. The fundamental rules of the game had totally changed right from under their feet. And you know what? This shift, it changes everything. Leadership used to feel like you were just following a recipe, right? A simple, straight line of rules where A plus B would always get you C. But that world is long gone. Now we're all operating in this complex, chaotic system, this tangled web where the old advice doesn't just fall flat, it can actually backfire on you. So let's just call it what it is. The old manual is dead. If you've ever had that nagging feeling that the management advice you've been clinging to just isn't working, you're not going crazy. You're absolutely right. The whole manual is broken. Which, of course, brings up a really interesting question. I mean, how on earth do you celebrate a decade of work when the very thing you built it on has crumbled into dust? What does a celebration even look like at that point? Well, the answer is probably not what you're thinking. It's not about cutting a cake or throwing some big party. It's about being brave enough to face that change head-on with something radical. They're celebrating by releasing a manifesto, a really bold declaration that's basically meant to set the old manual on fire and write a completely new one for the times we're living in. And this manifesto is actually a book called The Physics of Leadership. And that title, it tells you everything you need to know. Think about it for a second. Physics doesn't give you a simple to-do list. It gives you fundamental laws, things like gravity, momentum, energy. This is a huge shift away from simple rules and a move toward understanding the powerful, invisible forces that are actually running the show in our teams and companies today. And that's exactly why calling it a manifesto is so important. This isn't just another business book with a couple of new tips. No, it's a public statement that is designed to completely challenge the way things are and propose a whole new way of moving forward. So you might be asking, who is this for? Well, it's for you. If you are trying to lead anyone in this crazy, chaotic world, if you are just so tired of following rules that don't work anymore, and if you have that deep gut feeling that the old playbook is totally busted, then this is your wake-up call. But here's the thing. You don't just stumble upon a new set of fundamental laws. The journey to get to these ideas, it was strange, it was deeply personal, and honestly, sometimes it was painful. It was forged in the real-world struggles of those 6,000 leaders. And they're inviting all of us to come along for that ride. Over the next week, they're going to be sharing those personal stories and the big aha moments that led to this manifesto, all counting down to the official release. It's really the perfect way to honor the past while turning to face the future head-on. It's a toast to 10 years of learning and, maybe more importantly, a toast to whatever comes next. So, the final thought here is simple. Get ready. A completely new model for leadership is on its way, and it leaves you with a question to chew on. What's the invisible force, like trust, or maybe the flow of information, that has the most power in your organization? Something to think about while we wait.